we need to talk about Caitlin Clark. So Caitlin Clark of Iowa, but now playing for Indiana in the WNBA, gets honored in time as the athlete of the year. I don't know. I guess they need a lot of covers or something. I mean, whatever. They just want people who are going to sell their shitty magazine. So she gets selected as athlete of the year. And what does Caitlin Clark do? She decides to go racial.
Everyone is talking after Caitlin Clark, the Michael Jordan of women's basketball, revealed a shocking revelation that has nothing to do with her numbers. Instead of saying thank you, Megyn Kelly chose to go racist. What might lead a rising celebrity like Clark to take such a risky step? The reason may surprise you. So let's go back a little. The basketball sensation that we have all been watching, Caitlin Clark, just won Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year award. This is a huge deal, right? Most athletes dream of receiving this sort of attention, so you would think Clark would be ecstatic and eager to celebrate her well-deserved achievement. Megyn Kelly discussed her feelings on the honor. In addition to praising Clark for helping to increase awareness of the WNBA, Kelly sparked controversy by asserting that over 80% of the league's players despise her and that some black players are intimidated by her success because she is white.
And she's become a phenom in part because the players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism.
Kelly acknowledged that Clark's teammates' dissatisfaction frequently resulted in bullying, but she also commended Clark for maintaining his composure through it all.
And one of the things that's been admirable about Caitlin is she just continues to play her game and put points on the board. And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And see, all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly on the show.
However, this is where things took an unexpected turn. Rather than taking the criticism to heart and remaining mute as usual, Clark made a contentious comment when she accepted her prize.
But they want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten. You will be assaulted.
Clark chose to take a completely different approach rather than merely expressing gratitude and reveling in the success. She used her acceptance to discuss white privilege. Yes, you read correctly. Clark said, "I feel the need to acknowledge my white privilege," but she continued by highlighting the significance of honoring the black women who founded the league.
She feels the need to acknowledge her white privilege. Basically, she's sorry she's white. She feels really bad about it though, so you should give her a pass. And then she makes a point of saying, the ones we really need to be celebrating are the black women.
Now, you may be asking yourself, that sounds like a really thoughtful thing. What's the big deal? Well, this is where things get difficult. Many of Clark's supporters didn't think her remarks were very intelligent. Rather, they thought she was caving in to her detractors. Megyn Kelly believes that Clark is attempting to patch things up with them despite the harsh treatment she has received, and she didn't hold back from sharing this opinion.
It's true that most of these black women have been bullying her and want her to understand it's their league. Hello, you don't own the league. Blacks don't own the league, just like whites don't own tennis or golf. Nobody owns the league. This is America. Anybody can play if they're good enough. But they want her on the knee. You'll bend the knee and you'll apologize for being white, and you will suck up to the black women who built this league before you, or you will be beaten. You will be assaulted, and you will be bullied with no friends. So she does it. She finally did it. She bent the knee, self-flagellated over white privilege, and look at the black women in this league.
Megyn Kelly, who never holds back, had a lot to say about this. She noted how strange it is for Clark to feel uneasy in the spotlight while she is actually accepting a significant honor. And you know what? Kelly is right. Fans like Clark of her incredible talent, not because of her race, and she has been dominating the court, setting records left and right. She seems to be disparaging her own hard work when she discusses white privilege, as if to say, oh, by the way, maybe I didn't earn all this. Maybe it's just because I'm white. And that's when things really got out of hand. Social media went haywire as fans who had been rooting for Clark from the beginning felt deceived, asking why he was bringing up race when we had supported him because he was a fantastic basketball player.
But what you're doing here is trying to have it both ways. You're too cute by half, and you've managed to piss off your fan base. Go ahead and look at my Twitter feed and the comments under my tweet on this. She's lost thousands of fans, maybe more, as a result of this. And you will never appease the race bullies in the WNBA, ever. Because you're too popular, you're too talented, and too white. That's it.
Megyn Kelly didn't mince words when discussing this. She claimed that Clark's remarks were blatantly patronizing, and many people agreed with her, questioning why Clark felt the need to bring up race at all. After all, basketball is meant to be about skill, talent, and hard work, but here's the thing that has people baffled. This was supposed to be Clark's moment to shine and celebrate all the hard work that led her to this point, but she turned it into something completely different. Some people are now wondering if there's more to the story. Did Time magazine put pressure on Clark to say these things? Or was this some sort of PR move gone wrong to stir controversy? Clark's comments came out of nowhere. No one was pressuring her to talk about white privilege or to praise black players.
You know, the thing that really strikes me, if you think about Time magazine, it's not, they don't care about sports. It's a religious tract for the left-wing lunacy in this country. And what they care about is driving their politics forward. There are thousands of athletes who've had great years that they could highlight if they cared about highlighting a top athlete. Caitlin Clark is one of them. But this story and naming her really strikes me as something that was negotiated between her PR agent and Time magazine, where the agreement was she would say what the left wanted to hear, and in exchange.
Did you hear that? Let's face it, it's not very often for an athlete to discuss such a delicate and divisive subject in an award acceptance speech, particularly on a stage as large as this one when the emphasis is usually on acknowledging accomplishments. The blowback was severe and immediate. Overnight, Clark lost thousands of fans who had been following her career, purchasing her jerseys and supporting her at every game. It was as if she flipped a switch, and the Caitlin Clark they knew vanished. People have been complaining for years that ESPN concentrates too much on race-related content, claiming that it detracts from the actual sports, and Clark's comments have gotten them into some hot water.
People, for years and years, men have been complaining that ESPN doesn't cover sports, they cover critical race theory, and they're sick of it. People watch sports for escapism, to see competition. Caitlin Clark was an inspiration to so many of my friends' daughters, and for her to go out and say something like this, to try to, like you said, being like, oh, no, black players need me as a white savior to bring them and highlight them. This racist equity system, all it does is divide Americans, and the result of this election in large part was Americans saying we're tired of that, we've had enough of that, and Caitlin Clark's going right.
Although Clark is no longer at crossroads, she is not the first athlete to deal with this kind of pressure. Remember Tiger Woods and Serena Williams? Their responses to comparable circumstances may surprise you. What did these legends do that Clark did? Let's take a moment to discuss Tiger Woods. Did you ever hear him apologize for being black in a sport that was dominated by white players? Serena Williams never publicly stated that tennis was founded on the backs of white players. These superstars let their amazing talent speak for them.
I don't remember Serena Williams apologizing for her blackness in tennis, which had been dominated mostly by whites. I don't remember Tiger Woods apologizing for his blackness in the, PGA, which was dominated by whites. No one would even think of such a thing. They celebrated this new figure in sports who maybe didn't look like all the other figures they knew. They thought it was great. He was to be celebrated. That's how normal people have responded to Caitlin.
Tiger Woods and Serena Williams revolutionized their respective sports, not only with their extraordinary talent, but also by drawing in a large following. Their influence was indisputable, shattering stereotypes and raising the bar for excellence. What's more, those who admired them didn't care what color their skin was, and Clark did the same.
What they all had in common is that they fundamentally changed the sport, and they brought casual fans into the sport to become lifelong fans of the sport. It didn't matter what the color of their skin was. That's what Tiger Woods did to golf. That's what Caitlin Clark did to the WNBA. That's the sort of excellence that should be celebrated. And it's so weird to me that we had that entire ideology fail at the ballot box a few weeks ago, and now she's like the last one to get the memo. It's crazy.
Now, you may be asking why Clark is unable to concentrate solely on basketball. Many fans have the same thought. When Kelly made the observation that people watch sports for the competition rather than for political messages, she was spot on. It seems as though Clark has forgotten why people initially fell in love with her game, but Kelly didn't stop there. She went even further in her criticism, stating that Clark's approach to navigating racial dynamics is completely different from how icons like Woods and Williams handled it. To be honest, she's got a point. Those legends simply showed up dominating and let their performance do all the talking.
Imagine a world, we got to keep this going because it's like I'm so fired up about it. But imagine a world in which Serena and Venus take over tennis, they crush, and the thought pieces that are being written or the comments that they are required to say are, I just want to acknowledge that tennis was built on the back of white people like Chrissy Everett and Martina Navratilova and Billie Jean King.
This controversy isn't going away anytime soon. So Clark needs to figure out how to win back all the fans she lost. Can she do it? Or is this the beginning of the end for her career? It's like she's playing the biggest game of her life, but this time it's not on the court, but it's in the court of public opinion. Now that she's at a crossroads, what will she do next? Will she step up her comments, or will she take a cue from Woods and Williams' playbook and let her game speak for itself? Megyn provided a novel viewpoint, arguing that Clark's position was motivated by political ideology and an effort to win over a certain political party or population.
You're talking about like a 22-year-old young woman who's sort of thrust into this cultural icon. I bet 5 years from now she's going to wish she had that back. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that. I don't think that she's
right now, what we know about Caitlin Clark is she's reportedly dating some very, very woke leftist. But what we know about her is she liked Taylor Swift's endorsement of Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. So she seems to be telegraphing something about her politics, even though she doesn't often tweet or post about politics. It seems pretty clear she was in that lane hoping Kamala Harris got elected, though when asked about it, she tried to play it off as she was just, really in favor of people informing themselves about the issues and making sure they vote.
By doing this, Clark appeared to downplay her own accomplishments, leading many to question if she deserved the medal. The answer is unquestionably that she did.
To attribute that, it wasn't explained by Caitlin either, exactly how her white privilege got her some more attention in the league. That's the theory by some racists, that the only reason we want to watch Caitlin is because she's white and we can't stand watching the blacks, but we'll watch the white, which is absurd. She's by far the best. The stats prove it. That's why she's so popular. But in what world would we ever be comfortable saying to these black superstars, you better acknowledge the backs on whose, bodies tennis and golf and whatever white sport you can think of was built? I mean, it's an absurdity. It's racist.
Let's examine why she merited it and how a real phenomenon came to be. Let's examine Clark's story. She began playing basketball at the age of 5. It may surprise you to find that by the time other children were learning how to tie their shoes, Clark was already dribbling circles around them, but that was only the beginning. By high school, you might be wondering, well, she was good in high school, but how did that translate to college? As Clark broke records one after another and became the all-time top scorer in Iowa high school basketball history. Throughout her remarkable college career, Clark led Iowa to unparalleled heights and all the way to the NCAA championship game.
It's really inspiring to see how amazing she is at the sport and how she's really grown basketball and women's basketball in general.
Let's go!
During her tenure at Iowa, Clark averaged an incredible 28.4 points, 8.2 assists, and 7.1 rebounds per game. Not just impressive, but historic. Her performances were so captivating that she attracted viewers who had never even watched women's basketball before.
Martin looking. Here's Clark. She fires, and it goes! She hit it!
And now,
Clark is continuously smashing records in the WNBA. It seems like she is rewriting history each time she takes the floor, but this is where things become really fascinating. Clark is altering the entire landscape of women's basketball, not just the play on the court.
That Caitlin Clark is the golden goose. She's the cash cow. And wherever she goes, ratings follow. The WNBA draft, the doubleheader to open the NBA season. Ratings, ratings, ratings.
You may be curious about the magnitude of the impact we are discussing, so allow me to explain. We're talking about sold-out arenas and millions of new fans for women's basketball thanks to Clark. Now, it's not just die-hard basketball fans who watch Clark. Casual viewers are also paying attention to see what she does next. You may be asking yourself, okay, she's good, but is she really that special? Well, here's the thing. Clark is more than simply a player. She is revolutionizing the game itself. Her play style, work ethic, and capacity for fan interaction all combine to create something that has never been seen in women's basketball. What does all of this mean, then? Not only is Clark a rising star, but she is a phenomenon that is changing the face of women's basketball. She is encouraging future players, attracting new fans, and setting the standard for what we expect from athletes in the sport. Where does Caitlin Clark go from here? Her skill on the court is indisputable, but this controversy has dealt her a severe blow. Will she recover? That is the key question that everyone is asking.
So now you get the sports agents and all this stuff that apparently didn't get the memo. And
That's right.
my bet is, Megan, I think you're talking about like a 22-year-old young woman who's sort of thrust into this cultural icon. I bet 5 years from now she's going to wish she had that back.
When Megyn Kelly guest made a prediction about Clark's future, she didn't hold back. She stated that she might regret she had taken back these remarks in 5 years. And you know what? Kelly might be right. Clark faces a difficult journey ahead. The question is, will she intensify her remarks or will she alter her strategy and concentrate only on her game? In any case, the entire sports world is watching her, eager to see what she'll do next. But don't write Clark off just yet. She has overcome obstacles in the past and succeeded. One thing is certain, Clark's next move could make or ruin her career, and we'll all be watching to see how it turns out. Only time will tell.